Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High-impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Max Story.
Hello, and thanks for watching or listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast today. Before we get going, I just want to tell you, if you're listening on the audio podcast, you know I'm in the middle of doing a series on Ria's book, The Ladder of Influence. I hope you guys are enjoying that, and there's more to come, but I had an opportunity to interview Mr. Andy Garver today, so I'm going to interrupt that series to bring you this interview, and you can go watch it on the Blue Collar Leadership YouTube channel under the Real People Getting Real Results section. So welcome to the show, Mr. Andy Garver.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Man, it's a privilege to have you on. And we were just speaking with you and your team a couple of weeks ago. You got caught up since then. We were over in Savannah, Georgia with you.
Yeah, I think there's still a few emails I haven't read yet, but yeah.
That'll get you behind right there, won't it?
Absolutely, yeah. But it's valuable. It's valuable to bring the team together and do things like that.
Oh yeah, it was huge. So this is Andy Garver. He's with Pullman Services. You see that awesome background back there, man. Before we get going, Andy, tell me about that background. That's really cool. That's
a couple of years ago we started having a photo contest. So as our different people are out on job sites taking photos of the work, we would occasionally see stuff that was like our folks actually working, not just photos of dirt and rebar and stuff. And so we started a photo contest, an annual contest. And then during the pandemic, we wanted to decorate the office, and it was easier because there wasn't that many people here. So I hired a graphics company. They built this collage. The office that I'm in now used to be a conference room, but we've grown and I needed to move. So, the guy that is the office manager now is like, well, you created that thing, so you might as well sit there. So
well, that's cool.
I feel like a podcaster though, with like this in the background, and
you're looking like a pro, man. I like it.
Yeah, right.
So one thing I always ask folks when we get going, just so everyone else knows, just how do we know each other, or when did you discover me, or how did you discover me? How did we come to be talking today?
Yeah, so that's an interesting story. I want to say it was a couple of years ago. I, through LinkedIn, I just saw something, clicked on it, started following you and seeing different things pop up. I subscribed to your weekly newsletter. That was probably a year or so ago, and it was good, intriguing stuff. And the more I read it and listen to the different broadcasts and things that you have, I just thought like, hey, we got to get Mac in front of our team. So I reached out, talked to you. Yeah, that was amazing to me. Like you called, or you called me back, and it wasn't like some scheduling service or something. Like I actually got you on the phone. So and then we were able to hook up down in Savannah, Georgia, and it's all good stuff. I'm halfway through my second book.
Okay.
And,
your second book since Savannah?
Yeah.
Oh, you've been tearing it up. Which one did you read first?
I don't have it in front of me. It was
the blue book?
So I'm reading this one right now.
Oh, you're reading the blue one now.
I'm reading the blue one now. It was not the one with the hash marks on it. It was the other blue one. Or maybe it's black.
10 values of high impact leaders, or either blue collar leadership and supervision. Maybe that was it.
I think it was blue collar leadership and supervision. Yeah.
You talked about, it had one of the chapters in there you might remember was leading with questions, and talked about, you remember that one? Okay. So what did you think about that one, the blue collar leadership and supervision? As you read through it, how did it feel?
I mean, it's all good stuff, right? It's real, it's authentic. You can relate to it. Like, so as you're reading, you're recalling like, oh yeah, that happened in my life, or that happened on this job site, or it happened in my interaction the other day. And it's all just applicable stuff. And I think the thing I like that you said when we got together was it's uncommon, right?
Oh yeah.
And like when you actually think about that and like break that down, yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, man, that's good stuff. So before we get too deep, man, tell me who you are and what you do at Pullman Services, and then who you are personally. But what's your title and what's your role and how long you've been there, all that kind of good stuff. What you guys do and where you at, everything about that.
Yeah, sure. So thanks for the opportunity to do that. So yeah, I'm senior vice president. I head up U.S. operations for us. So we have offices throughout the Americas. We have offices in Canada too, but that's a different company. So I'm responsible day to day, profit and loss of all of our construction operations in America. We do, we do all this stuff on the wall, right? We restore buildings, we restore structures, we restore bridges. You name it, we'll fix it. We do concrete work, masonry work, waterproofing, below grade waterproofing, plaza waterproofing, anything that you can do to repair the exterior of a building or the structural elements of a building, we'll do it.
Wow, man, that's and you guys have a big team. I know when we were in Savannah a couple of weeks ago, I think just the leadership team was about 70 people or something, right? That was your
Yeah,
leaders from around the country.
right. Yeah, of that I think we have 45 or so foremen and superintendents with us.
Okay.
Um, that's probably it wasn't quite half of our folks. We have a much larger supervision team, and then on any given day, we'll have upwards of 800 folks out there working on sites every day.
How many was that?
800.
Yeah, you got a big outfit, and that's what I was wanting people to understand. And your Pullman is just a division of a bigger company, right?
That's right. Yeah. So we're the union contracting arm of a company called Structural Group. Structural Group is a multinational company that has everything from technologies, products, and then construction services. So Pullman is the union contracting arm.
Okay. Then you guys got a lot of resources, it sounds like, just in your
Oh
own
yeah,
company, but also because
absolutely.
of the larger parent company, you got a lot of resources when you need it.
Yeah, help is only a phone call away.
Yeah.
There's there's a lot of smart people in our company, and they're always there to help. And yeah, we do big things.
And did you mention a minute ago what city you're in, where you physically work?
So I'm in the Philadelphia suburbs right now. That's where I live. But I travel to all of our offices
You're
across America. But most days you can find me in the Philadelphia region.
okay.
Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles
Hey
hometown.
man, I heard you guys. There was some ribbon going on at the
Oh
conference the
yeah,
other week.
yeah. Some of the Kansas City folks, they weren't happy.
Yeah. Yeah, you got some great people though. We really, really great group of people. I mean, you
Yeah,
got
thank
great
you for
leadership
saying.
in your organization. You're one of those leaders, obviously, and for you to be at your level and interested in my type of content says a lot about who you are as a leader, the kind of leader that I write about, high impact leader that wants to grow and develop yourself and
Yeah,
others.
thank you.
And it was a privilege for us to be there. But man, you guys had some really, really good people in that room.
Yeah, we do. We have a really great team.
And you shared a story with me. How long have you been there, Andy, with Pullman? Long time.
It'll be 20 years this August. Yeah.
Yeah, and you didn't start as a senior vice president, I bet.
No, no.
And you were telling me your story about how you got into this. You mind sharing that? That's pretty cool. Maybe some of the folks that work in your company, maybe they'll see this at some point. You might share it out or something, or somebody may just see it and be neat for the folks to hear your story. How'd you get into this in the
Yeah.
construction business?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to share. So I was a kid. I think I just got my driver's license. So of course I wanted a job. I wanted money. Friend of mine worked at a gas station, so I got a job at a gas station. They had full service, so we were pumping gas. Changing wiper blades. An exciting day was when I got to change a tire.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you get to do something for real.
yeah. I mean, the mechanics didn't let me do anything real important, but yeah, we could fill wiper fluid and stuff like that. And there was a construction company that had an account there. This is 30 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So this is before, you tap to pay or you tap your phone on a gas pump, right? So they had a house account, so all their trucks would come in there, and I got to know the guys, and just talking to them, helping them out with their trucks, and the owner of the company was actually the father of a girl I went to school with and had known since first grade. So he and I got talking one day, and he said to me, he's like, "What are you doing here pumping gas? Like, you need to be working for me." I said, "Okay, what do I do?" He's like, "The phone number's on the side of the truck. Just call me tomorrow. We'll get you hooked up here." So yeah, that was 30 years ago. I started out, I think that was a summer of my junior year of high school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that was
So
at Pullman, because you say you've been at Pullman 20 years, but you're telling a story about 30 years ago how you actually got into construction business, right?
right, yeah. So
Yep.
this is pre-graduation from high school and all. I was out there, mixing mortar and carrying blocks, and I was loving it. I love being dirty, and
You were working.
I was working. Yeah, like I was doing it. But I always knew I wanted to be an engineer. So I'd known
Okay.
that since, I started building with Legos, when I was like 8.
Yeah.
So I went to engineering school, had a couple different jobs working for engineering outfits, and I just wasn't happy. So long story short, the way life comes back around, a friend of mine who I kept in touch with from that first company when I was 16 years old was hooked up with this outfit. And yeah, I sent my resume in, had an interview like 2 days later, and moved my wife like a month later. And yeah, that was 20 years ago. Here we
Wow.
are.
And you've been climbing. So what's some advice you'd give somebody young like you, like you were then, when you got tapped to join the construction business? There's a lot of young folks out there, and you've grown a lot. You've been in a lot of positions. You've seen a lot of stuff. You dealt with a lot of people. Still dealing with a lot of people. What's a couple of tips for a young person that maybe finds himself in construction, or they want to get in construction, but when they actually get that opportunity like you did, what's some tips for them to actually excel in the industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. Listen, right? I had a mentor tell me once, God gave you 2 of these and 1 of these. So you should be listening twice as often as you're speaking. That resonated with me for a long time now, because you don't get anywhere if you don't listen. And then another thing I learned early as, the assistant project manager, he was a great guy. I had a general superintendent who called me up one morning. It was probably 6:15, right? The sun had just come up. And he had a problem, and I won't use any words I'm not supposed to use on TV, right? But he basically told me, "I'm not calling you to find out how your breakfast was. I have a problem and I need help." And that really resonated with me, that maybe he and I needed to have a better relationship. So maybe he would call me and ask how my breakfast was one morning.
Oh
Maybe I
yeah.
would do the same. But the long and short of it is that they were in a jam. Like I said, it was very early in the morning, and I needed to get out to the job site and figure out with them what was going on and how we were going to solve it. And that stuck with me. I tell all the young guys that now, when if you're sitting in the office and the air conditioning and the field calls, you better drop what you're doing and answer that phone, because they're not calling to see how cool the air conditioning is. They're, they've got something going on and they need help. And you might be that help, or you might be able to connect them to that help. But you have to answer the phone. You have to listen to what's going on, and then you have to react.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. And listen, and then, like you're saying, over deliver, right? Get off the
Yeah.
phone, get out of the office, and go help them. I mean, if it's a situation where you can go there, sometimes it's far away. You have to find out who can help them, right? But main thing is
Right.
you're there to serve them, especially in construction. If you're in an office, actually any business, if you're in the office, you're there to serve the folks who are out doing the work. That's what you're talking about, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's I got it right here. I got the notes that you gave me, because that really hits home. Is give credit to others when things go right, and take responsibility when things go wrong. It's no more simple than that. Like that just, it says it so well. And that's what's going on, right? So if somebody calls, it's because something's not right, and you need to help make it right, and then give them credit when it does go right.
So as a leader, when you see it, and I'm sure you see this, even though you don't want to see it, people are people, but for the young folks out there listening, but it applies for anybody. But how does a leader in your position, when there is something going wrong, and you do go there to try to help solve it, and what's it do for someone's influence when the first thing they start doing is blaming somebody else? How do you see that as a leader? What give the leader's perspective on that? When you go there to help somebody solve a problem, and then you got these people coming out of the woodwork wanting to blame somebody, is that helpful?
That's never helpful. No. And that discounts that person so much, where you kind of want to just disassociate from the moment and say, okay, well, I'm going to work with the folks here that want to get this fixed. I want to get this solved.
Because that's what you're there for, to get it fixed.
Right.
You're not there to blame people.
Right. And we're not here to blame people. And at the end of the day, we're here to fix somebody's property, whether it's their condominium, their home, or their bridge, or their building, or their wastewater treatment plant, like whatever it is. We're there to service the customer. So we can't forget, who pays our bills. It's not me. It's not the owner of my company. It's our customers. That's who pays our bills.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff. That quote you were reading a minute ago, that come off the handout that we gave you guys at the event, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So since you brought that up from there, can you share with me a couple of things? One is your experience when we were there, and then also, kind of feedback, or what did you see and experience with your team? And I'm asking you to share that from a standpoint, not toot our horn, don't say nothing that ain't true or whatever, but
sure.
but people who maybe watch this who have never done any development for their folks, or they think, this sounds good, but my folks, they ain't gonna be interested in, go sit in a room, listen to McMaria or anybody else for that matter talk about leadership. So from a leadership standpoint, at your level as a senior vice president, how did it come over for you to be in the room and going through a couple hours with us?
So I think the thing that was really impactful for me was, I was sitting next to one of our superintendents from our New York City office, and when you were finished speaking, he grabbed my arm and he said, "Andy, you don't understand how much I needed this right now, today." And he had taken pages of notes. He was just writing furiously the whole time you were talking.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, like, what did you learn? And he was like, this, and he showed me, he said, these are things I'm going to do tomorrow when I get back to my job site. Tomorrow I'm going to start doing, and he had like his top 3 or whatever. That was huge to hear that. And then I think one of the funny things is that you talked about was, don't ask for a raise, ask for more responsibility.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people asked me for more responsibility that night.
Really? They got that.
Well, they got it, but in like a poking fun manner, they're like, "Hey, Andy, how can I get more responsibility?" You know what I mean? But I mean, we had good conversations, but it was fun.
But they understood what I was talking about, right?
Absolutely.
They were joking around with you, but at the same time, they understood we were talking to them as leaders, and we were talking to them because that's in my Frontlines book that you showed a minute ago, Blue Collar Leadership Leading from the Front Lines. And that's that book, we were sharing content from that book to help them understand this is content you need to develop your folks with. So their team would actually be asking for responsibility and not raises, because they're going to get a raise if whether they get it at your company or some other company. If they ask for responsibility and they deliver results somewhere in their life, they're going to get responsibility. I mean, a raise. Right. And they may not know that. Your team that's reporting to you, those guys, they already figured that out. That's why they're in the room, right? They've been asking for responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, that's some of our top guys, right? And we try to mix it up and, get new faces and get all the offices interacting. But yeah, I mean, those guys they're the current leaders, and they're they're the future leaders, and they're going to bring up people behind them too. So the tools that we were able to lay out for them in just the short couple hours that you spent with them, I think are going to translate for years to come.
Yeah, that was powerful, and I know, and it's Mr. Peter. Peter, that was the CEO, right, Mr. Peter?
That's right. Yeah, he's a founder, CEO
Of the top company, the parent
Correct.
company.
Yep.
Yeah, we got to meet him, and it was pretty cool. I shared with you that he said nobody had ever come thanked him so much for doing something as they did after our session. Did he happen to say that to you by chance? I'm just curious.
He did. Yeah, he said that exact thing. And the great thing about him and how he leads is he said, I don't have any credit for this. He's like, I never even heard of Mac's story. He's like, you did this, so thank you. So he thanked me, which that feels good, right? But then that makes me want to thank others. So
that's awesome. I know you put the pressure on us, man.
That's how he leads.
You put the pressure on us when I know somebody like you, and then you reach out and say, hey, I've been listening to you for a while. I need you to come help us out. You put the pressure on us. Now we got to deliver for you. But
now you got to come back next year.
Hey, maybe we will. I'd love to come back. You got a great team, man. And that's a challenge. And I think you and I talked about it on the side, but I talk about it to all leaders. Those people were hungry, and you got them books, brought them to the conference, and y'all did other stuff too, but we got to speak to them for 2 hours, and they got some books. I remember one guy come by and he told me, he said, man, I got like 5 books. He said, I got one of every different kind of book was laying on the table. And he had a stack of them. And
they all ate it up.
What's that?
They all ate it up. I mean,
they really did.
I think we brought back probably a couple copies of each book, and that may have just been folks that just didn't make it.
Yeah, that's outstanding. I mean, we talked to them, all over the place. We came to the dinner with you guys, and they were hungry. But the challenge for leaders is to feed those folks, to keep feeding those hungry people. Some of them going to feed themselves, and some of them. I've had a leader, actually a VP in a construction company, called me just a while back, and he was saying he just wanted a little bit of mentorship, and he's like, man, I got this great guy, but he said I'm running around kind of like you all over the country. He's all over different places. He's not in one spot. He ain't in the main office, but the person he was referencing was in the main office. And he was saying, he said, man, when I'm there, they're just awesome. But he said, when I'm gone, it's like they just dropped the ball. I said, some people need a leader. I mean, some people need a leader. That's why we got to have leaders, because there's actually a lot of people that need leaders. They'll do fine as long as they have a leader, kind of like a football team. They'll do fine as long as they got the quarterback is actually a leader on the field. If the quarterback not a leader, the other folks might not do too good of a job.
That's right. Yeah.
And he hadn't even realized that, really, even at a high level. And he's been studying, reading this stuff for a while, and it hadn't resonated with him, because he said, I ain't ever thought about it like that. And that's why I tell him, you got to be the coach. You can't be out there being the worker. You got to be running around, be the leader of your team. But anyway, don't want to get sidetracked off that. Something made me think about that. So you guys, and we were at Savannah. Tell me why you picked that spot, though. That was a really cool location.
So we try to go somewhere warm, right? Because most of our offices are in the north, so we're all leaving snow. So we try to go somewhere warmer. I think the year before we were in Austin, Texas, and that was when it was 22 degrees in Austin, Texas, like record cold spell. So that didn't quite work out. No, we were indoors the whole time. But we picked Savannah. One of our folks picked that hotel because that used to be a power plant, and that's what we do. We have a whole division that does chimneys, and probably if we went back and looked at the records, we probably built that chimney at that power plant that got converted to the JW. So it was kind of just a cool setting of, we're in this historic town, right? We do historic preservation. There's all that all around. And then we're also in this old repurposed power plant, which was just cool to be around.
Yeah, they did a real good job with that, and really helped the city by refurbishing that area and bringing life.
Yeah, I'd never been to Savannah, but I'll definitely go back.
Yeah, you guys were at a cool place. There ain't no doubt about that. So anybody who's looking to go to Savannah, if you're taking your lady, that'd be a great place to take your lady for a Valentine's trip. Would be to stay at that JW Marriott, because that place is awesome.
Yeah, it did the trick.
So tell me some of the leadership principles that resonate with you, throughout your job, your life. What's some things at top of mind that like you share with other people, especially the folks coming up through the ranks? What's some things you like to share with people? Got any key points?
Um, well, I'll use your phrase or something that you had said. I never thought about it that way, but the power of the pause, right?
Mm,
So no matter what level of leadership you're in, you'll get hit with something that's going to want to make you react. And having the ability to just, take a breath and gauge your reaction to that, because I mean, you've seen this. Sometimes people want a reaction. They might just be poking you just to get a reaction, or they genuinely just don't know. And then if you fly off the handle, that's not helpful either. So I never thought of it as simply as just pause, but that's something that I've been trying to do a lot more recently. As I get more stuff thrown at me, it was just, okay. So I got this email and it's not good. And how I respond is going to dictate probably how we work with this customer in the future. So let me type this a couple times, or
yeah.
let me use Copilot and help me phrase this a nice way. Something.
Hey, I ain't never thought about that, but that's probably a good use of AI. When you write something to say, you can put it in AI and say, hey, rewrite this in a nice way.
No, you laugh. I've done that. So I don't remember the exact circumstance. I needed to send a note to my team about something that we weren't doing particularly well. And I knew my email was harsh, and I didn't want it to be harsh. I wanted it to, kind of build. Yeah. So our head of IT keeps telling us that. He's like, you guys don't understand how powerful, ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, any of the ones you use, how powerful they are and how smart they are. So I took this whole email, copied it in there, and I said, can you please rephrase this to sound less harsh or something like that? And what it spit back out was, I copied it, probably changed 3 words.
Made it your own, tweaked it a little tiny bit.
Yeah.
Because they were your words already. They tweaked it. The AI tweaked it a little bit.
Right. Yeah. I just needed, I don't remember exactly it didn't change like my sentence structure or what I wanted to convey. It just changed a couple words to make it, come off a little bit fresher or friendly.
Yeah.
I don't know what the right word is.
Just not so sharp.
Not so sharp. Right.
Took the edge off of it.
Yeah. Tone this down. Take the edge off, please.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought about that before. That's a good use of AI. I hadn't been on much, but when X started having Grok, I've kind of messed with it. I don't use it for any of my content or anything, but it's just interesting to me. I can see how people really could use it.
Yeah, I got to download Grok. I heard Elon was on Rogan last week, and they were messing around with it, and I was like, "Oh, this sounds cool. I want this."
Yeah, you can download the app, and you can also go to grok.com on it. They said the best version of it is actually just go to the website, like
really?
Yeah, grok.com, and you can use it that way. And
okay,
but it's pretty amazing. And they actually, I saw the other week where a lot of people dumping Chat GPT and all that and going to Grok because it is so much better for whatever, when you really get into some deep stuff, it's pretty quick. And you got to think Elon's setting this thing up to take a team of robots and some rockets to Mars and go build something without anybody being there. That's what makes his stuff so good. He ain't just making it for us to play with. He's making it like for real.
Oh yeah. I know. And he catches a lot of flack, but if you think about the teams he puts together, I can imagine what it'd be like to be on a team of his. Yeah. He comes. I can just imagine. He comes in the conference room one day and he's like, "Listen, guys, I want the booster back. I want you to catch it." Right? And it probably his rocket scientists, like literal rocket scientists that work for him, are probably like, "This what? We're gonna catch the booster?" Okay. And then they did it.
The top part too, Starship.
Yeah,
that's actually today. If you didn't know it, this afternoon, 5:30, they doing another launch this afternoon.
Yeah, that's what he was talking about. He said that's next. Once we catch that thing and we can recover that and reuse it, we're all going to Mars.
Yeah. And
like, how inspiring is that?
yep. And you know, I don't know Elon. Ria's actually read one of his books. I don't know a lot about him, but I know enough to know. I mean, there may be things when he goes into a place, he's in there for a reason. He's actually there to help. Like you hear the stories, he'll go there and sleep on the floor. He ain't never seemed to be worried about money, even though he's the richest man in the world. Maybe that's why he don't spend none of it too much.
Yeah.
But he don't seem to have fancy cars, fancy houses, and stay in fancy places. He's always staying with people, but there's no way he can have all those businesses and be a micromanager. He may micromanage certain pieces when he is the one that knows the most about it and in a crisis. But most time he seems to be, I mean, he's hands on, but he's hands off at the same time. He knows all about what's going on, but he's all over the place doing all kind of stuff. It's like I was telling my mom the other day, trying to help her understand. I said, he's like having Einstein and Edison and Ben Franklin and all these people rolled into one, and they're alive. Right now we get to watch them in action.
Yeah. And then he builds the team around him, and then they just go do, which is
they make it happen. I like that. He talks a lot of stuff, you know, that I know from the lean world. I mean, he talks about, you know, they make mistakes, but they'll fix it. I mean, that's one of the lean principles, is create an atmosphere of experimentation.
Yeah.
And the whole point is it's okay to fail, but we don't want to fail over and over with the same thing, but we want to fail. And John Maxwell wrote a book called Failing Forward. You know, not really failing, it's learning. And that's what Elon understands that. He's learning, just like today, that this is the 8th launch of Starship. And he said, it's just a test. We're just learning. Everything ain't supposed to go right yet. We're experimenting and changing and all that sort of stuff. And
that's
anyway,
how life is, right?
Yeah. He's a great guy to watch. I watch for the leadership. I watch everything for leadership. I'm always looking at how people influence. You know, are they motivating? Are they manipulating? And when and where and how? I'm always studying. That's like the psychology of influence to me. It's what leadership is. So
it's all those books behind you.
Yeah, that's a lot. That ain't all of them, but that's a lot of them. And
I believe it.
Then I got a phone full of, you know, electronic books and audio, podcast and videos. You know, and when did your journey start, Andy? When did you become intentional about personal development as an individual and as a leader? You remember?
That's a good question. I don't remember the exact instance. You know, it probably was, you know, one of Covey's books or Patrick Lencioni. It was probably one of those. You know, and you dig into it and you read it again, and you learn some more things after you read it again, and that's when, you know, when you look at all of the books out there, right? And the books behind you, right? There's everyone's got an idea, but if an idea can sit with you and then you can apply that, that's huge, right? You don't ever have to get more than one thing out of a book to improve.
That's right.
Your surroundings, yourself, your situation, your company, your family, your spouse, like whatever that may be.
Yeah, one thing. That's why I like, if it's any kind of book that's got any kind of what I call the good stuff principles in it. I mean, you could learn one principle from a book and be worth millions of dollars to you, literally. I mean, could change your whole trajectory of your life, like it did for me. I mean, I might have been dead or in prison if I hadn't discovered the 7 habits when I did back in 2008. There's no telling.
Yeah, right. And now, I mean, with what we've got now, is you've got all these podcasts and, you know, YouTube shows, and there's just so much content out there that you can be dialed into it constantly. You don't have to just read the New York Times bestseller. It's any medium you want, right? You can watch a video on an airplane. You can just listen to a book while you're driving. I think what we're living in now, as far as all that information and you know, improvement stuff, it's incredible. Yeah,
man, that's if you're a hungry person, you can eat for free these days.
Oh, I mean,
all over the place. You don't have to. You don't have to pay for a book. You don't have to pay for a conference. You don't have to pay for a coach. You don't have to pay for anything. I mean, you can, and and there's a lot of value in that. But I'm just saying there's no excuse for somebody today not to be able to develop themselves.
Right. Yeah.
So if somebody came in, it doesn't matter what level in your company, and whatever level it is, though, you're kind of involved in like maybe hiring them or promoting them, and you're looking at their resume, and they had a list of 10 leadership books they had read, and when they read them, the date they read them, that sort of thing, the title and the author. Would that stand out with you? How often do you see that, actually, something like that? Have you ever seen that?
I don't think I ever have.
What if you did see that?
That would be something. Yeah, I would be interested in talking more about that person.
You'd want to talk to them, even just for that reason alone, probably, right?
Just for that reason alone, yeah.
And I got a podcast, episode 26, where I talk to people about that and teach them. It's about when they're trying to get a job and get their resume to actually be read and that sort of stuff. I give them some tips on that, but it's a thing I tell people all the time who are going to read. I tell them, make you a list, and whenever you send in a resume, put that as an attachment to the back of it, because if you find somebody like you, Andy, if somebody was applying, they may not know you personally, but they into this type stuff, personal growth development, leadership development, they're into it. They may not know you are, but what I know is if they're into it, they got to let you know they're into it. That's the only way you're going to know, because like you just said, you ain't never seen that. But if you did see that, it's going to stand out to you, because
absolutely.
Why would it stand out? Help the audience understand. What would that tell you if you saw a resume and it had 10 leadership books in the back of it listed? What kind of things would that tell you about the person compared to everybody else?
Yeah, that would tell me that person is genuinely interested in improving and being better than where they are in their current situation, and that they're willing to go outside maybe their comfort zone and learn how to be better and do more. Yeah, that'd be something. So anybody out there listening, like, read Mac's books and put it on your resume.
And it ain't just got to be mine, right? It could be anybody's.
Yeah.
I appreciate the plug, but I mean, anybody's. If you listen to a podcast, because I was talking to a guy the other day and I was trying to help him. He's trying to get his application in. Well, the other thing I told him, which was to go listen to episode 26, which I tell people, has anyone ever sent you like a hardback, kind of like a notebook with not the cheap notebook, but with the nice notebook, plastic colored tabs? They send you next day FedEx package. It's got their resume. It's got a functional resume. Got a chronological resume. It's got maybe drawings or jobs, descriptions of things they've done before. Got
work examples. Yeah.
Yep. Got any of that stuff. Got an education section. Has anyone ever sent you something like that without you asking, in a FedEx package, next day FedEx package, land on your desk and you wasn't even expecting it?
Yeah. No, but I've interviewed people who have brought that with them.
Okay.
And you're not expecting it. You're just you're judging somebody by the 1 or 2 page resume they send, and then they show up with this work product, examples of a written business plan, or how they grew revenue and profit in an area or something like that. Yeah, that sticks out.
Yeah, that's
sorry. The sun's getting me here. I got.
Yeah, you can adjust that if you need to.
I'm just gonna sit back a little bit.
Okay, all right. Yeah, the sun's changing on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
one thing I thought of, and this might resonate with some of your audience out there. I interviewed a kid a while back, and it came out during the interview that he was an Eagle Scout. And I flipped through his resume. I said, "Why isn't that on your resume?" And he said, "Oh, I didn't know how important that would be." And I said, "Well, did you know that an Eagle Scout was interviewing you?" And he was like, "No, I didn't know that." I said, "I would have interviewed you exclusively on the fact that you put you were an Eagle Scout on your resume. I don't care what else. I don't care your work experience or anything else that you did, what you went to school for, what your degree is. The fact that you were an Eagle Scout says a lot about you, and that needs to be on your resume. I don't care what your guidance counselor said, or your advisor, or whoever the person is that doesn't know what you went through to earn that."
Yeah, your resume expert, your coach.
Right. Yeah, that needs to be on your resume. Get that on your resume.
Yeah, that's a good tip, because to be an Eagle Scout,
Yeah,
You got to have a lot of character, first of all, right?
absolutely. Yeah. And it wasn't easy. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Yeah, that's a good tip. And for anybody out there listening, because I assume there's a lot of Eagle Scouts out there still. They used to be.
Yeah.
Still going strong, maybe.
I think it's dwindled a little bit, but yeah, there's still strong troops out there.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff, if when you meet somebody high character, they see something different, right? When you're interviewing, you're looking, like I teach people, you're looking for character. They got to have the competency too, but what you're looking for is character, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And what's some ways that you see character in people when you're just in the interview process? What's some things that stand out that they have high character or they don't?
That's a great question again. I would say the way they answer a question and how they talk about a team, that's very important, right? I don't ever want to hear I did this, I did that. It should be we did this or the team accomplished that. That's what that can strike a difference between people. So if you hear people talking like that, that's what I'm looking for.
Trying to take the credit. You want somebody who's trying to give the credit instead of take the credit.
Exactly. Yeah. One of my favorite interview questions, and this will stump a lot of people, is I learned it from a mentor of mine, Jeff. He would just pick out, if you're looking at somebody's resume, he would pick out a former position, not your current one, and say, if I called somebody at this company that you used to work with, what would they tell me about you? And I mean, you want to see like bug eyes. People are like, what? Why would you call somebody I used to work with?
Yeah.
Well, I want to learn about you. What would they tell me? What would your supervisor tell me? What would one of your direct reports tell me? What would somebody that worked in another department that you rarely saw tell me about you? I love that question.
Yeah, that's a good one. I heard somebody say before they wanted 3 references, but they wanted 3 people who reported to you.
Yeah.
Because that tells a lot about, I want to know how you are as a leader, right? That's the kind of stuff you're getting at. That's good stuff. So since you've gotten into leadership and personal growth development, Andy, have you noticed an impact you in your personal life any?
Sure. It's sometimes so I have 2 teenage girls, right? And that they're fun. They're great. They're great students. They do well. But when I try to impart some knowledge on them, it's you learn, you learn through growth and development and seminars and things like that, how you need to phrase things a certain way to certain people, right? And you might want to you might think your message means one thing, but they receive it a different way. So that's particularly impactful with teenage girls, and how you can get something out of them that you think they need to do, but it needs to be their idea. That's completely different than working with somebody that's your age that might understand that stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, since you brought up your girls, I just want to share with the audience listening, and I probably shared it with you already, but if not, maybe it'd be a tip for you. But anyone listening out there that's got some teenagers, especially if they're about to getting close to graduating high school or even older that's about to graduate college, either way, if they're getting ready to go out and into the adult world or the world of work, Ria's book, The Ladder of Influence, when I read that book, I said every high school student ought to have to read that book before they graduate. That book, I shared with you guys about our book study training, Andy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't know if Ria put the link up, but it's bluecollarleadership.com/book study training. Yep. And I'm sharing that for the audience. But anybody go to that link Ria's got on the screen right there, bluecollarleadership.com/book study training, and check that out. But then check out Ria's book, The Ladder of Influence, to use that as a resource. Like if your family, if you guys would go through that with your teenagers.
Yeah.
And at least with you, maybe with your wife, and do it the way we're teaching, it'd be so powerful. And it just helps a young person understand how they grow and develop their influence. I mean, she didn't write it for a young person. I'm just saying, when I read it, that was the first thing that entered my mind, is this ought to be mandatory for every high school student before they graduate, just to understand how influence works in the world. Because she takes you up 5 steps in that book. It starts with the control of self, character development, competency development, commitment to developing others, and contribution of service over time. Takes you through the whole spectrum, and there's 5 steps, and there's 5 chapters for each step, and there's 2 chapters inside of each section, each step, where one of them tells you how you apply this at home. Even got a little checklist, and then one of them says how you apply it, at work, and it's got a little checklist. But that's, if you hadn't thought about it, or I didn't mention to you, Andy, that may be something you really.
Okay. Yeah, I just wrote it down. Yeah, thank you.
And it worked for 13-year-old could get something out of it too. It ain't got to be 17 or 18. Any teenager, they sharp these days. They can, and I write simple, Rhea writes simple, but that'd be, it'd be something cool that you could do. If you do it the way we teach, y'all will get closer as a family, like big time, and they would learn a lot big time. And any parents out there, and also for you, Andy, if you were to do this, don't do it as I'm trying to necessarily help you, is I'm trying to get you to help me. We're going to do this, and the greatest benefit's going to be for me, because it will be, if you're being authentic about it. They're going to get the same benefit, but they don't know it. But you'll understand I'm going to get the benefit, but they're going to get it too. Everybody gets it. And it may be something you would share with, if you go through it, then it's a feather in your cap that you could share with your team members. You can say, hey, I did this with this book with my teenagers, and you'll have the story to tell. There'll be some results, some things that come out of it, and that'll help you be a better leader to your team, because when you can help them have a better life at home, you're going to have a better life at work, because you're going to be able to kind of trust that you can't buy, you can't pay for, you can't do any of that type thing. Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
So that, just when you said them teenage girls, I can't remember if we did talk about that book and doing a book study.
I don't think we did. No.
Because as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, I got to tell him about that. Because
thank you.
I'm telling you, man, it'll be, what age are they?
17 and 14.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. And yeah, you just frame it as they're going to help you, because they're going to help you tremendously. But both of them going to get a lot out of it. And if your wife gets involved with it too, that'll even make it the better for you. And
I'll look at the book study training tips too, because if I show up to them and say, here, I got you this book from my buddy Mac, I need you to read it.
That probably ain't gonna work quite the same.
No, that's not gonna work.
but you got to do it just like we teach on that. Don't change it around, because you won't be teaching them anything. They won't be teaching you anything, like literally. Each one of you will be learning indirectly from what the other ones are saying and participating. That's what makes it cool, is you're not going to teach them anything, and they're not going to literally teach you anything. There's no homework. There's no preparation. It's super easy, but it's super easy to mess it up too. But it's super easy to do it the way that we teach. But it'll facilitate transformation within them for the better, whatever that means. And you too, and your wife, everybody wins. It's the thing that our clients do, the ones that do it, that ask us, what's your best clients do? That's what they do. They do what I'm presenting to you to do at home. They do it at work with their teams. They do it on the phones. They do it on video. Even when they're not. I saw one VP, he sent me a picture one day. It was that book you just held up, and it was in the middle of his steering wheel. He was pulled over on the side of the road in Florida leading a book study, because it was time to do it. And he was in the truck somewhere, and that's what they were doing. He got a lot of value out of that.
Yeah, that's our office half the time, is in the truck.
Yeah, all over the place. And I can't remember if I shared with your team. Rhea has shared a link to it, but we got that free 2-hour course. Did I tell you guys about that? We may not even have had it when we were there. I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
It's the 5 types of leaders. It's if you listen on the audio podcast, it's the5typesofleaders.com, and the 5 is the number 5, the5typesofleaders.com. And that's a free 2-hour course, online video course. You get an 8-page workbook, download it for free, and the whole course is free. You get a certificate of completion at the end. And we just did that after we got back from Cancun in late January. So I don't remember if I shared it with you guys. I can't remember. Maybe we did, but
I don't remember talking about it. But yeah, I'll definitely take that to the team.
Yeah, it takes you from managerial leader to relational leader to motivational to inspirational to transformational, and it's talking about the 5 types of leaders, but in the context of character and competency. What makes, like a managerial leader is like the dictator. You may have a high competency or you may have a low competency. It doesn't matter. You're like a dictator. You
Right.
Barney Fife, not Andy Griffith, right? And then you've seen, that's just one type of leader. And the second type we talk about is the relational leader. And that person, you've seen these, they don't want to rock the boat. They just want to get along with everybody and keep everybody happy. But a lot of times they can't get the results because they don't hold people accountable.
Right.
So in that training, we trying to help people understand you don't want to be managerial or relational. You want to be inspirational, motivational, inspirational, transformational. So anyway, you might want to check that out. And
definitely.
It's something you as a leader, Andy, or anybody out there listening, if you got people report to you, you could make that a mandatory thing that they got to go through, and they get a lot out of it. And they get to see if they like to learn on a video course. Just fill in the blank sheet.
Okay.
So that's something that Rhea and I created
That's great.
really to promote our online video courses. But at the same time, people may not ever know if they would like to do a video course, so they won't ever invest the money in doing it. So it's a free way to give them some valuable content, but also it's free, so they can test it out.
Great.
Or leaders like you can use it to get a common understanding of the different types of leaders throughout an organization.
Yeah. I'll bring it to the guys tomorrow. We have a construction managers meeting tomorrow. So
okay,
yeah, that's great.
It's people have went through it, really, really liked it. So is there anything that I didn't ask you that you really want to talk about Pullman or yourself or leadership? Oh, there it is right there. Rhea popped that
up. No, I didn't know what to expect. So, when you asked me to do this, I was like, okay.
I appreciate it. And just a conversation, right? I never know where it's going to go. I just want to be authentic.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity and, the time we got to spend together. So thank you.
So what's on the horizon for you guys right now at Pullman? What's 2025? You got any big projects?
So actually, we just got awarded a job. It's called Perry's Victory Memorial. It's with National Park Service. It's on an island in one of the Great Lakes. I don't expect everybody to know where it is. So that's going to be a very nice job kicking off this summer. And then we just closed on an acquisition of a company, National Restoration Systems in Chicago. So we're super excited to, have new family members and, a new flag we planted in the Chicago market.
Yeah.
So that's super exciting. And then there's one more on the horizon that isn't public yet. That'll transform some things in this calendar year and the future.
Yeah.
It's a lot of exciting stuff. Yeah, we're actually going to be working this summer. We'll be working on 3 different islands for the National Park Service, which is something cool.
Yeah, that is cool. That's some cool places to go visit. Those guys are going to be out there working for a while.
Oh yeah,
you'll probably get to go visit all those sites, I imagine.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm going to try. So yeah, we're going to be at Ellis Island in New York, and then Alcatraz Island out in the Bay in San Francisco.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's pretty cool right there.
Yeah. If you're ever out that way, I'll be happy to take you on a tour of the job site.
Yeah, man, that's outstanding. What's the coolest project you have ever worked on when you were doing the work?
When I was doing the work. So I worked, I don't remember, I was probably 20. We worked on a church in North Philadelphia, and it was late 1800s, I want to say.
Oh.
Yeah, so we had to chip out all the mortar by hand with chisels. The conservator wouldn't let us use any power tools. And that's where I really learned, or I should say I didn't learn. I got an appreciation for how things were built that long ago, right? By guys in their hands. That was inspiring.
Always amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Y'all restored that? You took it down, put it back up, sounded like?
Well, we didn't tear it down. We just fixed the walls. We rebuilt some arches and things like that. It was in need of some maintenance and some repair, and we were happy to do it.
Okay. That's outstanding. So you've come a long way in these 30 years.
Yeah, I tried.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you being here, Andy, and taking time. I know you're a busy man. For you to invest an hour with me, I don't spend time with people. I invest time with people, and I appreciate it. You don't never know.
Thank you.
Something that you may have shared that's going to help somebody. I know it's going to help somebody. You may not ever know it, and I may not ever know it, because everybody don't always call us and tell us, "Hey, I heard you say this, and I got some results." But
Yeah,
you said some good points that can make a difference with some people.
well, thank you for having me. I appreciate the time and the opportunity, so thank you.
And just like I shared with you when we met, you can reach out to me the rest of your life, man. Long as I'm still here, you can reach out and ask any questions. I'll just share for the people listening my phone number, 334-728-4143. Anybody out there can call me. I tell people I'm always open, but I ain't always available. I've been open since we've been doing this interview, but I ain't been available to anybody else.
Right. And that's actually Mac's phone number for people that don't believe it. He will answer the phone.
Yep. And I want to talk. And I mean, I had a leader going through something this week that called me from Texas, and he was struggling with it. And he said, he told me that, what was going on. And he says, "What should I do?" I said, "I can't tell you what you should do, because I don't know enough, about you personally and that person and all the stuff that's going on. But based on exactly what you told me, this is what I would do. And I don't even know if you can do this if you wanted to." And I shared with him what I would do, and is exactly what he needed to hear. He said, "Oh yeah, I can do that. And it aligns with my way of thinking." He said, "I just didn't think of it that way."
Yeah.
And anybody needs a thinking partner. If you ever need one, Andy, reach out, call me.
Thank you. Yeah, that's
a lot of times I'm available. I'll pick right up.
Well,
all right, folks. Well, we're going to wrap it up and check out Pullman Services. And Andy's LinkedIn's been popping up here. It's linkedin.com/in/Andy Garver, Garver, if you're listening on the podcast and not watching the video. But I highly recommend you to always go watch the videos on YouTube channel. They're just better than listening on the audio. But I know sometimes you can't do that. So thanks again, Andy.
Yeah, thank you, Mac.
For everyone out there, we'll be picking up the Ladder of Influence series next week, and we'll start back wherever I dropped off last week. All right, talk to y'all next time.
Make it happen, or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mac Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mac's books, programs, special offers, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.